Hello, my name is Mason Davis, and this is a short presentation on cannabis. So here are some drugs classified as cannabis. Marijuana, hash-ish, hash oil, and concentrates. Marijuana is dried leaves and flowers, or buds, of the cannabis plant that are smoked in a joint or a bong. This is the most common form of cannabis. Hashish is a dried plant resin that is usually mixed with tobacco and smoked or added to, and smoked or added to foods and baked goods such as cookies and brownies. Hash oil is a liquid that is used sparingly due to its high potency and is added to the tip of a joint or a cigarette and smoked. Concentrates are extracts, which include dabs, wax, or shatter, typically using butane hash oil as a solvent. It's often vaporized in small quantities due to very high THC content. And this information was from the Alcohol and Drug Foundation, and other sources agree with that. Cannabis, how is it taken? As stated in my previous slide, cannabis can be smoked, eaten, or vaporized. The effects of cannabis vary depending on the form it is used in. We go back here, the dabs, the wax, or the shatter. I have heard is the strongest form, but hash oil is also up there. I think it would depend on the person. Where does cannabis come from? According to Mike Eves of the New York Times, a 2016 study by other scientists said that the earliest records for cannabis were mostly from China and Japan, but most botanists believe that it was probably first domesticated in the eastern part of Central Asia, where wild varieties of plants are widespread. Over time, the drug has spread around the world and is grown universally. And in regards, this is something interesting I found. It says in regards to the United States, most of our cannabis is grown in Canada and Mexico. So that source said that most of the cannabis we get in the United States is grown in Canada or Mexico. I also saw another source said that no country grows more cannabis than the United States. So I don't know if we just distribute it or the stuff we grow we sell, we don't keep for ourselves. But those two sites, those two sources were conflicting, but it was hard because I couldn't find another source that agreed with one or the other. Effects on the central nervous system. Within the central nervous system, cannabis can help ease pain and inflammation as well as control spasms and seizures, so it can be good. Healthline stated that THC triggers your brain to release large amounts of dopamine, which is a naturally occurring feel-good chemical that most of us are familiar with. This dopamine cycle may also explain why as many as 30% of cannabis users develop cannabis use disorder, essentially a form of addiction. So in form, it can have both positive and effects. Is cannabis legal? Under federal United States law, cannabis is not legal. However, it is legal in most states. I am not 100% sure how that necessarily works. That would be for another topic with law. And there are only 4 states where it is fully illegal, so not legal at all. South Carolina, Kansas, Idaho, and Wyoming. Are these addictive? Cannabis is interesting. This is all from my perspective. Cannabis is interesting because it can be addictive, but just because somebody uses it doesn't mean they are addicted to it, such as meth. People don't just use meth. People use meth because they're addicted to meth. Like I said, in a way, cannabis is similar to alcohol. People use them in moderation, and it for the most part is okay. And then there are people who use way too much of it, thus making it dangerous. However, too much cannabis is not equivalent to too much alcohol, if that makes sense, in my opinion. Dangers of cannabis, the tolerance to the effects of cannabis. So as you use it, you're going to build a tolerance to it. So you're going to have to use more and more every time. You become dependent on cannabis. I know people that are dependent on it. Um, some see it as good, some see it as bad. It can reduce cognitive functions. However, there are some people that say their cognitive functioning is better while they're high. If cannabis is smoked, then it could lead to worse things, such as a constant sore throat, asthma, bronchitis, and if it is smoked with tobacco, it can even cause cancer. Overall, it really isn't dangerous, especially when compared to drugs like meth or heroin. Used sparingly, in all honesty, it probably is okay. Um, it just depends on it, if that's what you want to use, if that's what you want to go, because there's certainly more things that are like better meditation, music, exercise than cannabis. Are there health benefits? And yes, there are health benefits. This is why cannabis is medicinally legal in so many countries. JWU states the following as potential health benefits of cannabis. It could lower blood pressure. It can reduce inflammation. It can prevent relapse in drug and alcohol addiction, serious drug and alcohol addiction. It can treat anxiety disorders. It can also treat gastrointestinal disorders or GI disorders. It can prevent seizures and it could fight against cancer. However, it's not like some cure-all type of thing. Just because it lowers blood pressure for one doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do it for the other. Here are some just very basic photos. This is the plant in its raw form. This is marijuana rolled up into joints, and this is some type of cannabis in a liquid form, as you can see. And some interesting facts about cannabis is it goes back at least 12,000 years. All honesty, probably farther. You can't lethally overdose on cannabis. Cannabis has over 100 active cannabinoids, and I also read that it's actually over 120, but 100 is on the little moderate end. And not all weed gets you high was something I didn't know. And these interesting facts about cannabis come from the Cleveland School of Cannabis. And below here is my works cited page. Thank you.